Spending club money. SABC stands for Student Activities Budget Committee. They are the governing body of the United Student Government responsible for reviewing and voting on budgets and appeals for each undergraduate club. How funding is allocated. The Student Activities Budget Committee is responsible for allocating all student activities monies. Only officially recognized clubs are able to appeal or reallocate funds through the SABC. The process is completely student-run. The committee meets every other Wednesday, with some exceptions, beginning at 2:30, starting September 11th. The SABC committee breakdown. The committee is comprised of 11 voting members, 7 students, and 3 administrators, and is chaired by the United Student Government Treasurer. There are 3 at-large club SABC seats each year that any club board member can apply for. If not voluntarily filled, clubs will be appointed from a randomized list of all SABC-approved clubs. If the club can present proof of employment or obligations for e-board members, the club will be excused. If you're interested in applying, please email sabclc@fordham.edu. SABC Basics. Obtaining funds. There are 2 ways that you can obtain funding through SABC. One is through the budget packet requests. These are items requested in the middle of last semester for this semester's budget. If your club submitted a budget packet last semester, it should be on OrgSync right now in the Files tab. There's also budget appeals and reallocations. These are additional funding requests for the current semester heard at the bi-weekly SABC meetings. The difference between an appeal and a reallocation. Appeal is for new money. This is a request for more money for an existing event, money for a new event, or money that was denied in the initial budget request and you'd like to appeal for again. Reallocation is already approved money used differently. This is a request to spend money you have been approved for in a different manner than it was originally granted for. Some common reallocation examples. If you have money left over from a dinner event and wish to use it to buy more decorations for an upcoming event instead. You have money to screen Star Wars on campus, but want to reallocate it towards screening Harry Potter instead. You allocated for pizza from Mariella's, but would like to reallocate it to order pizza from Justino's instead. Remember, if you'd like to use money in a way that is different in which it was originally approved for, you must reallocate through SABC. All budgets are located in the Files tab. You can find them here in your club portal on OrgSync. All club expenditures must be appealed for to SABC. You cannot request an event in OrgSync until you have secured funding from SABC, unless your event requires no funding. You cannot spend money in a way other than how it was approved by SABC. For example, if you spend money you were not allocated or in a different manner than it was requested, you will be responsible for paying it back to SABC. So if you were granted money for Papa John's Pizza and you spent it on Domino's, your club board members will personally be responsible for paying that back. Money must be used in the same manner to which it was approved. All SABC appeals and reallocations will be due on Fridays at 2 p.m. on a Friday prior to a Wednesday meeting. The upcoming meeting dates for SABC are Wednesday, September 25th, Wednesday, October 9th, Wednesday, October 23rd. This will be the last meeting to appeal for any new events. On Wednesday, December 4th, we will only be accepting appeals and reallocations for existing events only, events that already have funding. There will be no fall appeals heard on budget days. Budget days are Wednesday, November 13th and Wednesday, November 20th. This is because the committee will be focused on reviewing all budget appeals for the spring 2020 semester. Therefore, between October 23rd and December 4th, there will be no chances to appeal for or reallocate for any events. You can email all forms to sabclc@fordham.edu. Some funding highlights. For a first meeting, the maximum you can appeal for is $100. Please note that this is a new policy, which includes the ability to use this funding for one of your first 3 club meetings. Food is not funded for general meetings and last meetings. Please do not request this type of funding. SABC does not cover travel in the 5 boroughs, so please do not appeal for Metro cards. Club Day giveaways are capped at $300 for the academic year or $150 per semester. Tipping with SABC funding. For food delivered to the university, please review your SABC budget packet for the tip amount you have been allocated. You should always request around 10% of the total order for food deliveries. Step 2, request petty cash at least 2 weeks in advance. The form is on OrgSync under the Forms tab. Step 3, have your petty cash on hand when food is delivered. Step 4, when signing the receipt, make sure to cross through the tip line and have the amount match the total. See below. The amount is $50.94. The tip section is crossed through and the total was written in as $50.94. You will then give the tip in cash. Using the office credit card. Always check your budget to see what funds have been approved through SABC. Never purchase items on the office credit card that you have not been approved by SABC. SABC cannot fund retroactively, so any purchases that were made that have not already been approved for by SABC will not be refunded. After you've checked your budget to see what you have been approved for, you can come to G33 in the 140 West building during credit card hours, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to noon, and Mondays, 2:30 to 5. Place your order using the office credit card. Inquire first if we already have an account with any online companies, for example, Oriental Training or Amazon. If you are ordering food for delivery, make sure you ask the student workers or Sandy for a tax exemption form. Once you're done placing the order, make sure you enter your purchase information in the credit card binder located next to the cubbies on the table by the student workers. Lastly, fill out the credit card forms located in the cubbies. Please make photocopies or take pictures of your receipts for your own records. There are times when the receipts get separated from forms, and you always want to make sure to have good records. Here's some information for Amazon purchases. If you're ordering something on Amazon, check in with a student worker to get the Student Involvement Amazon login information during credit card hours. When checking out, fill out the purchase order number field with your club's name and the event associated with this order. For example, CSA, Urbanite. A student worker will email you when your package has been received. Then you can come to the office and pick up your items. There is a new policy at the university that requires some items to be bought through Staples and not through Amazon. If your item has been flagged as one of these purchases, clubs are exempt from this purchase. So to alert the university that you are a club making this purchase, in the department section, write the word club, and then your club name. And in the comments, write, "This is an undergraduate club purchase." We also recommend that you email involvementlc@fordham.edu alerting them that you received one of these restricted items notifications. If you're using petty cash, you must request the petty cash in advance. Fill out the form in OrgSync at least 1 week in advance. This form can be found in your club's portal under the Forms tab. Once your petty cash is ready for pickup, you will receive an email. At this time, any eBoard member can come and pick up the petty cash in G33 during petty cash hours, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to noon, Mondays, 2:30 to 5. Within 72 hours of your event, please return any leftover money and submit a petty cash form with your receipts. If you need a petty cash reimbursement because you've spent your own funds, you'll bring your receipts to G33 and fill out the appropriate form from the cubbies on the table near the student worker desk. As a reminder, you will only be reimbursed for funds that SABC has already approved. You cannot purchase items with your own money and then appeal to SABC for the funding. Always make copies of your receipts for your own records. If your club spends more than the allotted amount approved by SABC, the club board members will be responsible for the overage. Always double check your allocations before spending any money. Contracts. Who needs a contract? Any speakers, DJs, bands, interpreters. Start this process at least 4 weeks prior to your event. Step 1. Obtain a performance contract and any other necessary documents from Sandy in G33. Contracts should be filled out by a club member and the persons or agency providing the service. Students should never sign a contract. Contracts must be signed by the Senior Director for Student Involvement. Hand the contract in at least 5 business days prior to the event to Sandy Vargas. If this is not done at least 5 business days prior to your event, the director will not sign the contract and the event will be canceled. For DJs, speakers, instructors, interpreters, etc., who require an hourly wage, your vendor will need to submit a timesheet. You can request the appropriate wage in your SABC budget packet for the expected number of hours of your event. Once you are approved, visit the Student Involvement Office Manager, Sandy Vargas, during credit card hours or send her an email to set up the appropriate paperwork that needs to get filled out by your vendor. After your event, rehearsal, or meeting, email Christina at cfrankovic@fordham.edu with the actual hours worked to let her know the timesheet has been submitted. If you have a recurring instructor, email Christina every Thursday by 10 a.m. instead of immediately following each individual session. We recommend you set up a calendar reminder. If you need a check, you'll need to get a performance contract and W-9 form from Sandy Vargas in G33. Your performer may already have a filled out W-9 form and you may not need to send them a blank form. You'll need to fill out any necessary fields in the contract and send it to your vendor for them to fill out their fields. Once they've returned it, submit the performance contract and W-9 to Sandy. This must be done at least 5 business days in advance of your event. However, payment usually takes about 2 to 3 weeks to process through the university. If your speaker or performer requires to be paid on the day that they come to campus, you will need to request this with sufficient time for the check to arrive. Ordering food. Is your event in G71 through 74, G76, the student lounge, a non-carpeted classroom, or the residential life spaces? If not, you must use university dining or Aramark catering. If so, you are allowed to use outside food. For university dining, the Club Catering Guide is in OrgSync under the Files tab in the Club Leader Programming Resources. Consult the Club Catering Guide to get an idea for the menu and the costs before submitting an SABC appeal. Once your funding has been approved, obtain a food service requisition form from Student Involvement. Then you can email the Aramark representative, Spencer Brennan, at brennan-spencer@aramark.com at least 2 weeks in advance of your event. Fill out the food service requisition form in 140 West G33 and give it to Sandy Vargas to get your budget and signature from a Student Involvement Administrator before sending to Aramark. Make a copy of the signed form and bring the original back to Sandy. All fundraising money must be deposited with Student Involvement or the Global Outreach Office on the day that it is collected when you are doing food sales for fundraising purposes. Baked goods must always be served from covered containers or must be covered in plastic wrap. Student Involvement has plastic wrap you can borrow and sort. You must return it after using. Baked goods must be items that do not require refrigeration. This means breads, cupcakes, cookies, popcorn, etc. Items that require refrigeration are not permitted, including meringue, custards, pudding, etc. For bake sales, fundraising purposes, or at times when club leaders will be preparing food on their own, you are not permitted to serve any dishes containing meat. You are not permitted to eat at a table where food is being served. Cannot serve or touch food without gloves on. Student Involvement has gloves available in the SORC pantry. You are also not permitted to use any deep fryers, unwashed serving utensils. Please sanitize before and after using. And you're not permitted to serve fruits or vegetables or other food that is washed in a bathroom sink. Please note that these items can impact the university's health food safety rating with the state of New York. So please make sure you're abiding by these policies whenever serving food. If you're feeling creative for your fundraising opportunity, talk to Student Involvement for approval. After that, you may take a short food handling workshop. Once you've taken that workshop, the following dishes are approved to be made to order: grilled cheese and cheese quesadillas. Cheese must be kept cold. Pancakes and waffles with a batter that does not contain raw eggs. clubs that are found in violation of food policies will be restricted from selling foods for the remainder of the semester. Some new information about fundraising platforms. Clubs cannot use GoFundMe or Venmo. Instead, you can use GiveCampus or university tickets. If your club is having a fundraising event, please email Christina at cfrankovic@fordham.edu to set up your GiveCampus or university tickets account for club sales. Through university tickets, you'll be able to use credit card purchases. Publicity and posting. Avenues for posting your events. You can make flyers, utilize the poster towers, one on the LL Indoor Plaza at the top of the escalators, one in the 140 West Plaza entrance by Quinn Library, and one in the 140 West Garden Lounge near Argo Tea. You can get up to 3 posters per event stamped in 140 West G33. You can advertise on the ITVs. These must be in a horizontal or landscape format and submitted as a JPEG. You can also be included in the What's Happening email. If you'd like to be in a blurb at the top, please email C. Frankovic and Event Manager LC@fordham.edu. You may also utilize the OrgSync homepage banner. You can email studentorgslc@fordham.edu or programlc@fordham.edu, including a very short tagline and a square image. All flyers must be submitted through OrgSync for approval before posting. Approvals will be done once each day in the morning. If you'd like to include your flyer on the ITVs, submit it in a horizontal format. Include the correct club name and event title, the location, which includes your building code, such as 140W, LL, LS, etc., the correct date and time, an open space for the student involvement stamp, and the phrase undergraduate students only. If your flyer is approved, you'll receive an email. You can then take your 21 copies to G33 for stamping. You must have your flyers approved and stamped before posting. Flyers cannot contain direct or implied references to the availability of alcohol. Postings must be removed the day after the event occurs. We recommend you save the fun tack used to post your flyers and return it to G33. A maximum of 21 flyers per event can be posted in the Lowenstein building. 2 flyers or posters can be posted in the 140 West garden level and 3rd floor lounge. Posting is allowed on floors 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, and 9 in the Lowenstein building. Only 1 poster or 2 flyers may be posted on the plaza level, on the boards only. Only 2 flyers or 1 poster are allowed posted on the walls outside of the elevators on each floor. A maximum of 5 flyers or 1 poster per event are permitted on the street level on the maroon boards in the hallways between Pope Auditorium, McMahon Hall, and the new maroon boards on the street level from Lowenstein to 140 West. Flyers must be removed by your club when your event is over. Hanging flyers? Use tape? Nope. Use fun tack? Yes. Fun tack is sustainable because you can reuse it over and over again. Please always return the fun tack to G33 and never post your flyers with tape. Posting restrictions. They're found in more detail in the Club Leader Manual. Postings cannot be posted inside elevators, on elevator panels with buttons, on elevator panels with emergency phones, on glass, mirrors, painted surfaces, in stairwells, or in the street level near the gallery or Pope. They cannot be posted within 3 feet of any fire pull boxes. You cannot monopolize space or cover another organization or department's legally posted flyers. They cannot be posted on tiled or carpeted floors, and they cannot be posted in the cafeteria. Can I post here? No. Posting policy in McMahon and McKeon Hall. 22 flyers can be posted in McKeon Hall and 19 flyers can be posted in McMahon Hall. Once you've been approved for your flyers by student involvement, you can print out your flyers and take those approved flyers to Residential Life in McMahon 108 to be stamped by Res Life. Oftentimes, they'll also be able to post them for you. Now that we've gone through everything, let's take a step-by-step look at planning a large-scale event on campus. Step 1, you'll need to request your funding through SABC, either through your budget packets, the reallocation, or the appeal process. Once you've been approved, Submit your event request or room reservation form in OrgSync. Once your event request is approved, create a flyer and submit it on OrgSync. Make sure that if you want it on the ITVs, it's in a horizontal format. It has your club name and event title, your location with the building code, the correct date and time, a blank space for the office stamp, and for undergraduate students only. Once the flyer is approved, you can post your flyers on campus. If you need petty cash or movie tickets for your event, you can request those in OrgSync in the respective forms. Or come to G33 to use the office credit card and send out your tax exemption forms. If it's a very large-scale event, look out for an email from a student involvement staff member. We'll be reaching out to you to help with any logistics. If you have performers, please make sure to complete all necessary contracts and forms by their deadlines. As a reminder, any contracts and forms submitted less than 5 business days before your event will not be signed and your event will be canceled. If you need audio or visual equipment, make sure that these are reserved with student involvement or media services. Step 8, running the event. At your check-in table, please make sure that there's a club representative at all times at the check-in table. You may want to create a small staffing sheet to have someone at the check-in table at all times to help. Be mindful of others using the space before and after you. Please use the start and end times that you're approved for, and leave the room in the same condition that you found it. If you found the room in a mess, please let student involvement know that the room was in disrepair when you arrived, and they will follow up with whomever used the room before you. There are some events where event managers will help run things without a student involvement staff member. Please listen to them and follow their instruction. They'll be informed of all policies and procedures that you'll have to complete. After your event, we recommend that you set up a time to debrief with your club about what went well and what could be improved upon. Always make sure to hand in all of your receipts and reimbursement requests to G33 within 3 business days of your event. Make sure to keep copies for your own records. And follow up. You'll get an attendee list about 5 business days after each event where an event manager swipes. Feel free to reach out to previous attendees and invite them to future events. Additional event planning information, public safety. If there's no alcohol being served at your event, you'll be required to have 1 guard per 100 people anticipated at the event. If there is alcohol served, such as Senior Week, you'll be required to hire 1 guard per 50 people anticipated at the event. Security guards must be requested 3 weeks prior by your student involvement staff representative. You must budget for security guards in your SABC request. They must work a minimum of 4 hours, including 30 minutes before and after your event. The cost is $34.43 per hour per guard. Additional event planning information, guest policy. Students are permitted to sign in 2 guests per Fordham ID for any registered guest events. Fordham students must sign in their guests. Both the Fordham student and the guests leave their IDs at the check-in table. If a Fordham student leaves, their guest must leave with them, or someone else must sign the guest in. In order to have guests at an event, you must request it as a guest event in OrgSync. For events with invited guests or student family members, a guest list may be provided in advance. These instances must be approved by the Associate Director for Programming before planning begins. Guest lists must be provided no later than 3 business days in advance. We cannot provide your vendors with parking on campus. Have your vendor include the cost of parking in their quote to you. You may want to provide them with a list of the garages in our neighborhood that offer Fordham discounts. Organizations must obtain the right to show movies on campus. It is illegal to have a public viewing of a movie or TV show without first obtaining the rights. If you are able to obtain permission to show a film without purchasing the rights, you must provide written proof to SABC. Please include shipping, $27, and the cost of your SABC appeal. To get a quote or purchase the rights, you can contact Swank Motion Pictures. There may be some movies that Swank does not hold the rights to. In those instances, reach directly out to the holders of the rights for those films. Student travel. A chaperone is required for your trip and must be a university staff member, excluding undergraduate students who are university staff members. All university policies must be adhered to during university-sponsored trips. Alcohol cannot be consumed during the duration of a university-sponsored trip, regardless of the age of the student. Flights must be arranged through a new online system. Please contact Sandy Vargas regarding flight arrangements. Car rentals can be arranged through Enterprise. Local conferences in the 5 boroughs and tri-state area can be granted for up to $1,500. Non-local travel will fund up to 3 students and 1 chaperone. Graduating seniors do not get funding to attend conferences. Conference housing must be able to provide single-sex accommodations. See the Club Leader Manual for more details on travel. Travel forms and director approval. Club travel requests must be approved through Dr. Dorothy Wenzel. Travel forms can be obtained by Sandy Vargas, Christina Frankovic-Shepsky, or on OrgSync under the Files tab. Travel forms must be filled out by every student for security purposes and submitted at least 3 business days before departure. Expectations. As a club leader, you represent the Fordham community as a whole. You are a role model to your peers and are in a position to lead by example. We ask that you help take care of our community. Please work with us to keep our campus looking good. If you notice programming spaces dirty, damaged, or things are out of place, let someone in student involvement know. If you use the last of something in SORC, always notify a student worker, event manager, or student involvement staff member. This way, we can make sure that we're fully stocked when the next club leader comes in. All club leaders are expected to abide by the University Code of Conduct. There is a zero-tolerance policy regarding the presence of alcohol, drugs, or hazing at Fordham Lincoln Center events. If you are found involved with such an infraction, you may be referred for a judicial hearing and may be sanctioned. You are responsible not only for yourself, but for what occurs at your club events. All club officers must maintain a 2.5 GPA to retain their leadership positions. Violation of university policies could put your club on probation. You must abide by the University Code of Conduct, even if it is at an off-campus club event. Guest policy. You are responsible for your guests and for what occurs at your club events. If something happens, please report it immediately to a student involvement staff member or the event manager there. Alcohol and other drug policies. No alcohol is permitted at club events unless it is a registered alcohol event through the Office for Student Involvement. Lastly, United Student Government can also place your club on probation if you do not hold at least 3 registered meetings or events, including board meetings, registered in OrgSync per semester. These would occur ideally once per month in a given semester. Clubs must also hold at least 1 event open to the entire Lincoln Center undergraduate community per academic year. We hope that you follow us on Instagram at RamsInvolvedLC. If you tag us in your club posts, we'll do our best to repost anything. You can also follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/getinvolvedlc.